I'll yield.
Gentlelady yields. Gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the chairman for having this hearing. Might be the most important hearing we have this session. I think it's sad that we've had some of the members on the other side of the aisle talk about how this is a minor matter and we should spend more time talking about bird flu. But in any event, thank you for having the hearing. The public should again and again hear about the danger to the First Amendment that's going on, because I know when it comes to election season, they poll stuff, and they do insist, spend more time talking about the price of eggs than somebody trying to take away the First Amendment. But let's talk a little bit about some other countries so we see where we may be headed. Mr. Schoenberger, could you elaborate a little bit more about what's going on in Brazil and how it affects this country?
Sure. I mean, Brazil is, there's a lot of lessons that are important from Brazil. I mean, the first is that it makes you appreciate the First Amendment and that it was written in such an unqualified way. I mean, you may know Alexander Hamilton didn't think we needed a First Amendment because it was redundant. We did it anyway because people that created this country really believed in it. In Brazil, the Constitution does not provide that level of protection. There's too many qualifications. What you're hearing from this side of the aisle today is that, oh, we got to qualify the First Amendment in all these ways. The Supreme Court has made it very clear what those qualifications are. So you've got a constitution that allows for the Supreme Court to engage in just ridiculous levels of censorship. They've now banned some politicians from every single social media platform. They've also sought to they've frozen people's banks accounts for things that they've done that would have been considered a First Amendment right in the United States. As you see, they've targeted foreigners like myself for publishing inconvenient information. So yeah, Brazil is a warning for us, I think, about what can go wrong if you stop believing in the essential importance of free speech.
By the way, commenting on the last questioner, is hateful speech free speech?
No, absolutely not. That was inaccurate. I mean, you can say hateful things, you can mail hateful things. I think what the congressperson was referring to is that it's illegal to threaten people, as it should be. Just like the line at Brandenburg and Skokie is the immediate incitement to violence. I agree with those Supreme Court rulings. You should not be allowed to physically threaten somebody, just like the Nazis, in Skokie, if they had said, okay, let's all go burn that house down, that would have been illegal, that form of speech. But it's pretty clear where the line is. I think most high school students, junior high school students could understand where the distinction is.
Well, they take that. It's not against the law to hate.
Of course, how could it be? It's everybody has hatred in their heart.
Okay. Ms. Subramanya, could you elaborate on what's going on in Canada? I think most of our lifetime, we think of Canada as almost being a cleaner version of the United States. So we can maybe learn some lessons as to what could happen here from what's happening in Canada.
Well, what's happening in Canada right now is that there's a political crisis, and that's the only reason why some of these very pernicious pieces of legislation are just, Parliament is suspended, so they've died as a result, but there's nothing to stop a next government, liberal government, from bringing them back to life. And what this suggests to me is it's indicative of—
Can you just give us examples of things that you can't do in Canada today that we would be shocked if it happened here?
Well, I mean, for example, I can give you the example of the truckers' protest in 2022, where peaceful protest was shut down by the Prime Minister, by the government, by invoking the Emergencies Act, and protesters were driven out of the city. They couldn't protest government overreach, and it was government overreach that ultimately got them out. And to make matters worse, many of these people had their bank accounts frozen. This Chinese social credit system had finally come to Canada, was finally in the West, and that's already happened. And since then, there have been a series of attempts to pass through legislation for, as I mentioned in my remarks, if you're praising fossil fuels, for example, a private member's bill suggested that people should go to prison for that. I mean, it's extraordinary.
We have to be on the ball here in future elections so that when politicians go down that route, they're done. We'll find another Democrat, we'll find another Republican. Somebody who goes down that path It's just perceived to be beyond
Yeah.
the pale.
No, I'll tell you why this is important. It goes back to that question from the congressman, why are we having these hearings? And you need to have more of these hearings. There's a stunning statistic from 2023 from the Pew survey. 39% of Americans in 2018 supported restrictions on false information, what they think is false information or violent content online. That number has gone up to 55%. That's extraordinary. So these hearings are crucial to letting people know why it is vital to have, to protect free speech and to defend the First Amendment.
And to go over in general some of the things that were done by the last administration. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, the ranking member has a UC.